Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I am Arjun Chaudhary. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Wednesday, the 4th of November. State of emergency declared in Maldives for 30 days. United Nations calls for probe in the murder of Bangladeshi publisher. And demand for gold surges in India ahead of festive season. And now for all the details. The United Nations have called for a full investigation into the murder of Bangladeshi publisher Faisal Arifin Dipan. The publisher of slain Bangladeshi American writer Avijit Roy was hacked to death by unidentified men on Saturday.
Condemning the attack on Dipan, the United Nations urged the Bangladesh government to bring the perpetrators to justice. We would clearly condemn the killing of the publisher we saw in Bangladesh, and we would very much call on the government to fully investigate and bring the perpetrators to justice, Stefan Dujarric, spokesperson for the UN Secretary General, said. Dipan was hacked to death on Saturday while another publisher and a blogger had suffered injuries in two separate incidents on the same day. Dipan had received death threats after he published books of Avijit Roy, who was hacked to death in April. The Committee to Protect Journalists denouncing the killings urged the Bangladesh government to take action against elements who oppose free speech. We call on Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to take a clear, bold stance against the rising tide of extremism in the country and to bring the perpetrators behind these attacks to justice. CPJ Asia Program Research Associate Sumit Gelhotra said, "Predominantly Muslim Bangladesh has witnessed a rise in radicalism in the recent years. 5 bloggers and secular activists have been killed in the country this year alone." Ansarullah Bangla team, a banned Al-Qaeda-inspired outfit, has taken responsibility of most of the killings, claiming that the writers were targeted for their alleged criticism of Islam.
Meanwhile, Chinese Vice President Li Yuanchao has pledged support to Afghanistan in the development of its infrastructure and security sectors. The Vice President was in Afghanistan to mark the 60th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the two countries.
Vice President Li Yuanchao signed 3 deals with Afghanistan on Tuesday in the areas of security, infrastructure and education. China says it wants to play an important commercial role in helping rebuild the country, where the Taliban seek to re-establish their Islamist regime that was toppled by the 2001 US-led military intervention.
国是阿富汗的好伙伴，中国人民是阿富汗的好朋友。今天刚才我们签的这些协议，体现了中国和阿富汗的友好。
China, which is one of the biggest international donors of Afghanistan, will be providing $79 million to the country this year to help build low-income housing. Beijing is also involved in a number of infrastructure projects in the country. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani said the funds will help build 10,000 resident apartments in Kabul.
در افغانستان دولس پنمایندگی تستخر راستویم او اتاس سفر یو ډیر مهم قدم او سمبول د افغانستان او چین د همکاري ګڼم.
The deteriorating security situation in Afghanistan could hinder the materialization of the aid provided by China, say experts. The war-ravaged country has been struggling to bring economic stability amid the continuous clashes between the Afghan government and the Taliban.
Moving on to news from Maldives. Maldivian government on Wednesday declared a state of emergency in the country for 30 days. The government said the decision was taken after threats to national security following the recent discovery of firearms and explosives. The announcement also comes 2 days ahead of a mass protest planned by the main opposition Maldivian Democratic Party against the detention of its leader, former President Mohamed Nasheed. The country has been in political turmoil for some time now since the arrest of Nasheed in March. In September, President Yamin had escaped unhurt after a blast on his boat. His deputy Ahmed Adib, who was arrested last month in connection with the blast, is now facing impeachment. The World Sindhi Congress has claimed that Pakistan government is not protecting the fundamental rights of people in its southern Sindh province. They have also demanded more security for the ethnic minorities in the country.
Speaking at a seminar organized by the World Sindhi Congress in London, rights activists and world leaders expressed concern over the gross violation of fundamental rights of ethnic minorities in the southern Sindh province of Pakistan. British lawmaker Bob Blackman claimed that Pakistan was unwilling to give due autonomy to the indigenous people.
That here we're talking about a province that is part of Pakistan that wants the protection of human rights for minorities, that wants the right to self-determination, but is denied the right to self-determination, so that freedom of religion, freedom of association, freedom to be educated, freedom of language, all of those protections are fundamental. They're fundamental human rights that need to be protected. The fact is, what I'm hearing today is those are not protected in Sindh.
Pakistani writer and journalist Aisha Siddiqa also expressed concern over attempts being made by extremist groups to restrict the faiths of minorities.
In the past 6-7 years, the state has also infested, it's pushed all forms of militants into Sindh. While there's Deobandi militancy in Upper Sindh, there is mushrooming of Ahle Hadith Salafi militancy in Lower Sindh. Especially after the 2010 floods, Salafi militancy in the form of Jamaat Dawa and Lashkar-e-Taiba network, it has mushroomed in Sindh. So in Hindu areas, so you'd see madrasas in areas where there is not a single Muslim household.
Locals claim that an influx of outsiders promoted by the Pakistan government is threatening the existence of the indigenous Sindhi people in the province. There is an estimated 45 million ethnic Sindhis living in Pakistan. Around 16% of the population is Hindus.
Bilquis Edhi, who took care of Geeta, the stranded Indian girl in Pakistan for over a decade, has been selected for the Mother Teresa Memorial International Award. Geeta recently returned to India.
The Harmony Foundation Board, which is based in India's western Mumbai, unanimously decided to honour Bilquis Edhi with the Mother Teresa Memorial International Award 2015. Bilquis Edhi, wife of Abdul Sattar Edhi of Edhi Foundation, provided shelter to Geeta, the deaf and mute Indian girl, for 12 years until her recent return to India. Geeta was 11 years old when she accidentally crossed over to Pakistan in 2003. She got stuck in the country due to her disadvantageous condition. Karachi-based Edhi Foundation, founded in 1951, is one of the biggest charity organizations in Pakistan. It is involved in a number of humanitarian works, including orphanages and 24-hour emergency across the country and abroad.
With the Hindu festival of Diwali and the upcoming wedding season, the demand for gold has gone up in India. The season witnesses some of the biggest gold sales in the country annually.
With the Festival of Lights just days away, jewellery showrooms across India are abuzz with buyers. Gold demand in India usually picks up in the run-up to the festival and the wedding season that runs October to December. People buy gold both as an investment and as a gift item to their loved ones in the festival season.
मैं स्पेशली मुझे लोग गिफ्ट देना है, मम्मी को भाभी को गिफ्ट देना है, तो मैं कड़ा वगैरह सब चेन कड़ा वो सब देख रही हूँ मैं.
According to market data, the demand for gold had increased by nearly 7% in the third quarter of 2015. This is even while the import duty on the yellow metal continues to be at 10%. The duty was increased in 2013 after huge gold imports pushed India's current account deficit to a record $190 billion. Traders said they expect the sales to further go up in the coming days.
पिछले साल से सोने चांदी में रेट कम होने के कारण बहुत बढ़िया रिस्पांस है और सोने चांदी की बिक्री में 30 से 35% का बढ़ोतरी हुई है और मेरे ख्याल से पिछले 10 साल में सबसे बढ़िया दिवाली रहेगी ये परचेज के हिसाब से।
Indians' craze for the yellow metal is well known. Bullion is the country's biggest import item after crude oil, and Indian jewelry industry is the world's #1 importer ahead of China. In the first 9 months of the year, the country imported 689 tons of gold, with the total for the year expected is 900 tons.
Myanmar is gearing up for the parliamentary polls next week, and keenly looking forward to it is a business community which is hoping for a better business environment. A report.
Investors and traders in Myanmar are keeping their fingers crossed in the run-up to the November 8 parliamentary election. Although the 2010 election, which ended decades of military rule in the country, opened gates for business, many believe a lot has to be done for a better economic reform.
စီးပွားရေးကောင်းလာဖို့အမျှော်လင့်ဆုံးပဲပေါ့နော်။ဘာလို့တိုင်းပြည်က like poor countries but many natural resources တွေရှိပေမဲ့လည်းဆင်းရဲတဲ့နိုင်ငံဖြစ်နေတာပေါ့နော်။အဲ့တော့စီးပွားရေးကောင်းမှပဲအားလုံးအတွက်ကောင်းမှာပေါ့။
Industrialists are hoping to attract investors in order to tap the business potential in the country if the results are positive.
日本の投資家に対しては今回の選挙の結果を通してミャンマーが非常に安定した状況にある、混乱は生じないというメッセージを出すことを期待しています。多くの日本の投資家、ミャンマーへの投資についていろいろな準備を進めていますので、選挙の結果がそういう準備に影響を及ぼさないようなそういう選挙であることを期待していると思います。
The November 8 vote is being touted as the most credible polls in Myanmar in decades. It will see President Thein Sein's Union Solidarity and Development Party go head-to-head with democracy icon Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy.
Former Pakistan captain Shoaib Malik has announced retirement from Test cricket. Calling it a day on Tuesday, Malik said that he had made the decision due to family reasons and in order to concentrate on the 2019 World Cup. Malik made a dramatic return to Test cricket after a gap of 5 years last month, where he scored his career best 245 against England. He played 35 tests for Pakistan, where he has scored 1,898 runs at an average of 35.14. He is married to Indian tennis star Sania Mirza. Southern India recently saw models gliding down the fashion ramp to promote watches. It was a unique way to attract buyers. Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. State of emergency declared in Maldives for 30 days. The United Nations calls for probe in the murder of Bangladeshi publisher. And demand for gold surges in India ahead of festive season. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.